Bem-vindo ao Deep Dumps. No Deep Dumps, nossa missão é ajudá-lo a passar nos exames de certificação com confiança. Acesse os exames de prática mais recentes, PDFs e testes online, sempre atualizados conforme os padrões reais. Com nosso material pronto para o exame, você terá os recursos certos sempre à mão. Milhares de alunos confiam no Deep Dumps, e muitos conquistam a aprovação já na primeira tentativa. Oferecemos suporte 24 de julho por e-mail ou chat ao vivo. E nossos especialistas estão prontos para esclarecer dúvidas e orientá-lo passo a passo. Baixe as perguntas e respostas em PDF. Pratique com questões de qualidade e explicações claras. E avance rumo ao sucesso garantido.
Question 1. Which of the following will cause the greatest reduction in disk size requirements for a cluster of n indexes running Splunk Enterprise? Security. Option A. Setting the cluster search factor to n1. Option B. Increasing the number of buckets per index. Option C. Decreasing the data model acceleration range. Option D. Setting the cluster replication factor to n1. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A, setting the cluster search factor to n1. Question 2. Stakeholders have identified high availability for searchable data as their top priority. Which of the following best addresses this requirement? Option A. Increasing the search factor in the cluster. Option B. Increasing the replication factor in the cluster. Option C. Increasing the number of search heads in the cluster. Option D. Increasing the number of CPUs on the indexes in the cluster. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A, increasing the search factor in the cluster. Question 3. Search dashboards in the monitoring console indicate that the distributed deployment is approaching its capacity. Which of the following options will provide the most search performance improvement? Option A. Replace the indexer storage to solid-state drives. SSD. Option B. Add more search heads and redistribute users based on the search type. Option C. Look for slow searches and reschedule them to run during an off-peak time. Option D. Add more search peers and make sure forwarders distribute data evenly across all indexes. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option D. Add more search peers and make sure forwarders distribute data evenly across all indexes. Question 4. A Splunk architect has inherited the Splunk deployment at Buttercup Games and end users are complaining that the events are inconsistently formatted for a web source type. Further investigation reveals that not all web logs flow through the same infrastructure. Some of the data goes through heavy forwarders and some of the forwarders are managed by another department. Which of the following items might be the cause for this issue? Option A. The search head may have different configurations than the indexes. Option B. The data inputs are not properly configured across all the forwarders. Option C. The indexes may have different configurations than the heavy forwarders. Option D. The forwarders managed by the other department are an older version than the rest. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option C. The indexes may have different configurations than the heavy forwarders. Question 5. A customer has installed a 500 GB enterprise license. They also purchased and installed a 300 GB no enforcement license on the same license master. How much data can the customer ingest before search is locked out? Option A. 300 gigabytes. After this limit, search is locked out. Option B. 500 gigabytes. After this limit, search is locked out. Option C. 800 gigabytes. After this limit, search is locked out. Option D. Search is not locked out. Violations are still recorded. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option D. Search is not locked out. Violations are still recorded. Question 6. What does the deployer do in a search head cluster? SHC. Select all that apply. Option A. Distributes apps to SHC members. Option B. Bootstraps a clean Splunk install for a SHC. Option C. Distributes non-search related and manual configuration file changes. Option D. Distributes runtime knowledge object changes made by users across the SHC. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A. Distributes apps to SHC members. Option C. Distributes non-search related and manual configuration file changes. Question 7. When using the props conference line breaker attribute to delimit multi-line events, the should linemerge attribute should be set to what? Option A. Auto. Option B. None. Option C. True. Option D. False. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option D. False. Question 8. Which of the following should be included in a deployment plan? Option A. Business continuity and disaster recovery plans. Option B. Current logging details and data source inventory. Option C. Current and future topology diagrams of the IT environment. Option D. A comprehensive list of stakeholders. Either direct or indirect. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B. Current logging details and data source inventory. Question 9. A multi-site indexer cluster can be configured using which of the following? Select all that apply. Option A. Via Splunk Web. Option B. Directly edit Splunk Home, etc., System, Local, Server. Conference. Option C. Run a Splunk edit cluster config command from the CLI. Option D. Directly edit Splunk Home, etc., System, Default, Server. Conference. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B. Directly edit Splunk Home, etc., System, Local, Server. Conference. Option C. Run a Splunk edit cluster config command from the CLI. Question 10. Which index time props conference attributes impact indexing performance? Select all that apply. Option A. Report. Option B. Line breaker. Option C. Annotate punct. Option D. Should linemerge. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B. Line breaker. Option C. Annotate punct. Option D. Should line merge. Question 11. Which of the following are client filters available in server class conference? Select all that apply. Option A. DNS name. Option B. IP address. Option C. Splunk server role. Option D. Platform. Machine type. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A. DNS name. Option B. IP address. Option D. Platform. Machine type. Question 12. What log file would you search to verify if you suspect there is a problem interpreting a regular expression in a monitor? Stanza. Option A. B tool. Log. Option B. Metrics, log. Option C. Splunked, log. Option D. Tailing processor, log. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option C, splunked.log. Question 13. Which Splunk tool offers a health check for administrators to evaluate the health of their Splunk deployment? Option A. B tool. Option B. Diagon. Option C. SPL Clinic. Option D. Monitoring console. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option D, monitoring console. Question 14. In a 4-site indexer cluster, which configuration stores 2 searchable copies at the origin site, 1 searchable copy at site 2, and a total of 4 searchable copies? Option A. Site search factor equals origin. 2. Site 1. 2. Total. 4. Option B. Site search factor equals origin. 2. Site 2. 1. Total. 4. Option C. Site replication factor equals origin. 2. Site 1. 2. Total. 4. Option D. Site replication factor equals origin. 2. Site 2. 1. Total. 4. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B, site search factor equals origin. 2. Site 2 is to 1. Total. 4. Question 15. Which Splunk enterprise offering has its own license? Option A. Splunk Cloud Forwarder. Option B. Splunk Heavy Forwarder. Option C. Splunk Universal Forwarder. Option D. Splunk Forwarder Management. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option C, Splunk Universal Forwarder. Question 16. Which component in the Splunked log will log information related to bad event breaking? Option A. Audit trail. Option B. Event breaking. Option C. Indexing pipeline. Option D. Aggregator mining processor. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option D, aggregator mining processor. Question 17. Which Splunk server role regulates the functioning of indexer cluster? Option A. Indexer. Option B. Deployer. Option C. Master node. Option D. Monitoring console. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option C, master node. Question 18. When adding or rejoining a member to a search head cluster, the following error is displayed. Error: pulling configurations from the search head cluster captain. Consider performing a destructive configuration resync on this search head cluster member. What corrective action should be taken? Option A. Restart the search head. Option B. Run the Splunk apply sh cluster bundle command from the deployer. Option C. Run the clean raft command on all members of the search head cluster. Option D. Run the Splunk resync sh cluster replicated config command on this member. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option D. Run the Splunk resync sh cluster replicated config command on this member. Question 19. Which of the following commands is used to clear the KV store? Option A. Splunk clean KV store. Option B. Splunk clear KV store. Option C. Splunk delete KV store. Option D. Splunk reinitialize KV store. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A, Splunk clean KV store. Question 20. Indexing is slow in real-time. Search results are delayed in a Splunk environment with 2 indexes and 1 search head. There is ample CPU and memory available on the indexes. Which of the following is most likely to improve indexing performance? Option A. Increase the maximum number of hot buckets in indexes. Conference. Option B. Increase the number of parallel ingestion pipelines in server. Conference. Option C. Decrease the maximum size of the search pipelines in limits. Conference. Option D. Decrease the maximum concurrent scheduled searches in limits. Conference. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B. Increase the number of parallel ingestion pipelines in server. Conference. Question 21. The guidance Splunk gives for estimating size on for syslog data is 50% of original data size. How does this divide between files in the index? Option A. Raw data is 10%. TSIDX is 40%. Option B. Raw data is 15%. TSIDX is 35%. Option C. Raw data is 35%. TSIDX is 15%. Option D. Raw data is 40%. TSIDX is 10%. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B. Raw data is 15%. TSIDX is 35%. Question 22. A 3-node search head cluster is skipping a large number of searches across time. What should be done to increase scheduled search capacity on the search head cluster? Option A. Create a job server on the cluster. Option B. Add another search head to the cluster. Option C. Server. Conference captain is ad hoc search head equals true. Option D. Change limits. Conference value for max searches per CPU to a higher value. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B. Add another search head to the cluster. Question 23. The frequency in which a deployment client contacts the deployment server is controlled by what? Option A. Polling interval attribute in outputs. Conference. Option B. Phone home interval index attribute in outputs. Conference. Option C. Polling interval attribute in deployment client. Conference. Option D. Phone home interval index attribute in deployment client. Conference. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option D. Phone home interval index attribute in deployment client. Conference. Question 24. To activate replication for an index in an indexer cluster, what attribute must be configured in indexes? Conference on all peer nodes. Option A. Rep factor equals 0. Option B. Replicate equals 0. Option C. Rep factor equals auto. Option D. Replicate equals auto. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option C. Rep factor equals auto. Question 25. Which of the following clarification steps should be taken if apps are not appearing on a deployment client? Select all that apply. Option A. Check server class. Conference of the deployment server. Option B. Check deployment client. Conference of the deployment client. Option C. Check the content of Splunk home, etc. apps of the deployment server. Option D. Search for relevant events in Splunked log of the deployment server. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A. Check server class. Conference of the deployment server. Option B. Check deployment client. Conference of the deployment client. Option D. Search for relevant events in Splunked. Log of the deployment server. Question 26. Which of the following security options must be explicitly configured? i.e., which options are not enabled by default? Option A. Data encryption between Splunk Web and Splunked. Option B. Certificate authentication between forwarders and indexers. Option C. Certificate authentication between Splunk Web and Search Head. Option D. Data encryption for distributed search between search heads and indexers. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option B. Certificate authentication between forwarders and indexers. Option C. Certificate authentication between Splunk Web and Search Head. Question 27. Which of the following artifacts are included in a Splunk diag file? Select all that apply. Option A. OS settings. Option B. Internal logs. Option C. Customer data. Option D. Configuration files. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option A. OS settings. Option B. Internal logs. Option D. Configuration files. Question 28. Which command will permanently decommission a peer node operating in an indexer cluster? Option A. Splunk stop F. Option B. Splunk offline F. Option C. Splunk offline, enforce counts. Option D. Splunk decommission, enforce counts. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option C. Splunk offline, enforce counts. Question 29. Which CLI command converts a Splunk instance to a license slave? Option A. Splunk add licenses. Option B. Splunk list licensor slaves. Option C. Splunk edit licensor local slave. Option D. Splunk list licensor local slave. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option C. Splunk edit licensor local slave. Question 30. Splunk Enterprise Platform instrumentation refers to data that the Splunk Enterprise deployment logs in the introspection index. Which of the following logs are included in this index? Select all that apply. Option A. Audit log. Option B. Metrics log. Option C. Disk objects log. Option D. Resource usage log. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option C. Disk objects.log. Option D. Resource usage.log. Question 31. Which of the following can a Splunk diag contain? Option A. Search history, Splunk users and their roles, running processes, indexed data. Option B. Server specs, current open connections, internal Splunk log files, index listings. Option C. KB store listings, internal Splunk log files, search peer bundles listings, indexed data. Option D. Splunk platform configuration details, Splunk users and their roles, current open connections, index listings. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is Option B. Server specs, current open connections, internal Splunk log files, index listings. Question 32. Which of the following are true statements about Splunk indexer clustering? Option A. All peer nodes must run exactly the same Splunk version. Option B. The master node must run the same or a later Splunk version than search heads. Option C. The peer nodes must run the same or a later Splunk version than the master node. Option D. The search head must run the same or a later Splunk version than the peer nodes. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A. All peer nodes must run exactly the same Splunk version. Option B. The master node must run the same or a later Splunk version than search heads. Option D. The search head must run the same or a later Splunk version than the peer nodes. Question 33. A customer plans to ingest 600 gigabytes of data per day into Splunk. They will have 6 concurrent users. And they also want high data availability and high search performance. The customer is concerned about cost and wants to spend the minimum amount on the hardware for Splunk. How many indexes are recommended for this deployment? Option A. 2 indexes not in a cluster. Assuming users run many long searches. Option B. 3 indexes not in a cluster. Assuming a long data retention period. Option C. 2 indexes clustered. Assuming high availability is the greatest priority. Option D. 2 indexes clustered. Assuming a high volume of saved, scheduled searches. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option C. 2 indexes clustered. Assuming high availability is the greatest priority. Question 34. To reduce the captain's workload in a search head cluster. What setting will prevent scheduled searches from running on the captain? Option A. Ad hoc search head equals true. On all members. Option B. Ad hoc search head equals true. On the current captain. Option C. Captain is ad hoc search head equals true. On all members. Option D. Captain is ad hoc search head equals true. On the current captain. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option C. Captain is ad hoc search head equals true. On all members. Question 35. At which default interval does metrics log generate a periodic report regarding license utilization? Option A. 10 seconds. Option B. 30 seconds. Option C. 60 seconds. Option D. 300 seconds. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B. 30 seconds. Question 36. Which of the following is a good practice for a search head cluster deployer? Option A. The deployer only distributes configurations to search head cluster members when they phone home. Option B. The deployer must be used to distribute non-replicable configurations to search head cluster members. Option C. The deployer must distribute configurations to search head cluster members to be valid configurations. Option D. The deployer only distributes configurations to search head cluster members with Splunk Apply SH cluster bundle. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option B. The deployer must be used to distribute non-replicable configurations to search head cluster members. Question 37. A new Splunk customer is using syslog to collect data from their network devices on port 514. What is the best practice for ingesting this data into Splunk? Option A. Configure syslog to send the data to multiple Splunk indexers. Option B. Use a Splunk indexer to collect a network input on port 514 directly. Option C. Use a Splunk forwarder to collect the input on port 514 and forward the data. Option D. Configure syslog to write logs and use a Splunk forwarder to collect the logs. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option D. Configure syslog to write logs and use a Splunk forwarder to collect the logs. Question 38. Which Splunk internal index contains license-related events? Option A. Audit. Option B, license. Option C, internal. Option D, introspection. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option C, internal. Question 39. Which of the following statements describe a search head cluster? SHC. Captain. Select all that apply. Option A is the job scheduler for the entire SHC. Option B manages alert action suppressions, throttling. Option C synchronizes the member list with the KV store primary. Option D replicates the SHC's knowledge bundle to the search peers. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option A is the job scheduler for the entire SHC. Option B manages alert action suppressions, throttling. Option D replicates the SHC's knowledge bundle to the search peers. Question 40. Before users can use a KV store, an admin must create a collection. Where is a collection is defined? Option A, KV store, conference. Option B, collection, conference. Option C, collections, conference. Option D, KV collections, conference. Choose the correct answer. Correct answer is option C, collections, conference.